Alright guys, that time has come. We are in the top 16. We got BlazinAzn versus Vygg. And Vygg, definitely a newcomer to the top 16. BlazinAzn, not so much. And gotta give credit to Boulevard here because it was his idea to go ahead and cast BlazinAzn. We've seen him a lot in Duels of Runeterra, but have not had an opportunity to cast his game. So very excited to do that now. Blazin bringing a typical lineup, at least for this tournament anyways, with Ezreal TF, mid-range Frostbite, and Fiora Shen, which was just really popular this tournament. We saw a lot of different Shen decks pop up. On the side of Vygg, it's so popular, Vygg's having the same lineup. So pretty interesting to see a straight up mirror match here in the top 16 of these Fiora Shen decks as well. We'll see who is able to pilot this lineup a little bit better in this matchup. As always though, if you are new to the channel, do not forget to subscribe because this is not where it ends. We got tons more top 16 content, and as the new set comes out, we are going to be releasing tons of videos. New cards, new region, new things, new cool stuff for Legends of Runeterra. Gonna be right here. Also, don't forget to like the video if you like the video, which we know you're gonna like the video because who doesn't like me and Boulevard casting, right? So, anyways, let's get into top 16 BlazinAzn versus Vygg. Sum up for you guys kind of who's doing what here as far as who's playing who. And we have Glop versus Hot Soup round 1 is going to be a thing. Then we have 4LW versus the Chad, who we saw the Chad a little bit earlier today. We also saw Glop a little bit earlier. BBG versus 7X Bane. BlazinAzn versus Vygg, who we're going to be watching in just a moment here. Stan versus, I think that's Lei or Lee. I want to go Lei. L-E-I. What do you think?
I think Lee.
We're gonna go Lee, but like Lee is L-E-E.
Well, Sean is spelled 4 different ways.
Oh, don't get me started with the Sean.
I'm just saying.
Then we got Bry Guy versus Random 7HS. Then we got Zuya versus Garrett's. And then we have Rice FT versus returning champion of, was this 2 Duels of Runeterra ago that Zinc won, or 3?
2. It was Duels of Runeterra 12.
12.
Took out Winding God in the finals after a very tough top run cut.
Top run cut.
Top cut.
I was like, wait, what?
Me no verb good.
Yeah, so that should be interesting as well. And Rice FT from Team Leviathan Gaming, another good player that we see a lot in the top cut here of Duels of Runeterra and other tournaments.
I have a question about Random 7HS.
Shoot.
And players like him.
Shoot.
How many Duels of Runeterra tournaments do you have to participate in before you drop the Hearthstone out of your name?
Oh, that's a good point. Is that what that is?
Anytime I see HS, I assume it's Hearthstone.
I mean, it's got to be, right? How many? I mean, by now, I recognize his name pretty prevalently compared to other people. So I would say get the hell rid of the HS. Like nobody, we don't want one of that RNG HS BS in here. We don't get that out of here.
Nobody's coming in with MTG in their name.
Yeah, yeah, right. Actually, I mean, I'd probably prefer some MTG players over the Hearthstone players. I'm
telling Random. Hold on, does he follow me on Twitter? If he doesn't follow me on Twitter, we're not friends, and I can't tell him that you're talking shit. But I'm pretty sure.
I'm kidding. I love all players.
I don't. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you mean nothing to me.
With that said, everybody follow Boulevard on Twitter.
Random does not follow me on Twitter. You don't get nothing from me, Random.
See, guys,
that's how I judge who I do and don't like, is do they follow me on Twitter? I'm a fickle man.
No, now what happens if if you follow them and they don't follow you back?
Well, I follow Random and he doesn't follow me, so you can go ahead and bite the dust in that top 16 match. Get that Hearthstone out of your name.
Sora's right.
Sora said it's high school.
Actually, the game's about to get started. Actually, one last point about the high school thing too. Let me go into the gameplay. It's funny. I was just listening to. I mentioned the Gary V podcast earlier that I just listened to. One of the things that Gary Vaynerchuk said is that nowadays, the reason why social media is so important is that basically high school has now creeped its way into normal life. So now you're not just a popularity contest in high school; it's a popularity contest your entire life.
Speaking of high school, here's a fun little trivia game for everybody. Within the top 16 of this event, there is one player who I was very good friends with in high school.
Oh wait, in the top 16?
Yes.
I wonder if I I know this.
I will tell you after they have been eliminated.
Oh, come on. No.
No favoritism out of me.
Really? So you went to high school with somebody in here. That's cool.
Yeah. Not only that, but was like very good friends with them throughout high school.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Cool. Sweet.
Which means I take credit for their top.
It's all your fault. It's
not BBG. I'll give you that's the hint. It's not Bruised by Guy.
Oh man. So we see here we have the Fiora Shen versus the TF Ezreal deck. And actually, I don't think we've seen this particular matchup today, right?
No, we haven't seen any Twisted Fate Ezreal so far today. It was one of the more popular Ezreal decks early on. I think now a lot of people are kind of going around towards the Karma Ezreal again. I do think this should play a little bit better than most of the other Ezreal decks into the Bannerman deck. You do kind of get to play that Turbo Ezreal strategy. Make It Rain is pretty much always going to get 3 targets out in a matchup like this, 2 if you low roll it onto face. But overall, you know, Riptide Rex going to play a big part of this. Fighting for board is something that the Twisted Fate Ezreal does a lot better than any of the other Ezreal variants, even though we have seen Vygg sort of stumble a little bit on this. Make It Rain, what are you pilfering for 4? Or plundering with for 4 mana? Is this like pilfered goods and black market merchant?
Yeah, but do you really go ahead and blow a Make It Rain just to try to get that out like as soon as possible?
I mean, you play it on curve, you get to draw 3 cards at a reduced cost. I'd say it's worth it. It's not like you're killing anything with Make It Rain in this matchup. It does get to pop a lot of barriers, but unless you're actually capitalizing on that, it doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah, that is a good point. You're not really ever going to get too much value off of it just killing stuff. It looks like you were right, too, with the pilfered goods and the black market merchant. So good call there. And yeah, I think you're right. If you can guarantee that you're going to get a proc for plunder in general and hit the Nexus, it's probably one of the better values you're going to go ahead and get out of the Make It Rain.
I forgot I'm actually keeping track of things today, so that's 1 on the Ezreal target. Or no, it's 2, right? There was a Mystic Shot that came out.
Already!
No, I'm right. No, it's 2. I'm good. I'm good.
What you do? Damn it. Oh, man.
Shit, don't tell the people.
Nobody heard that, right? Nobody saw that.
So now, with 2 challengers on the side of BlazinAzn and 2 2-1s on the side of Vygg, I thought that was a big Y and then a little Y, and I'm just like, wait, is this Vygg or is this VyGG?
No, it's
There are too many acronyms in the gaming world. Like, I think yesterday in the PCS we saw someone who was easy to win, and we couldn't tell if it was easy or Ezreal.
No, it's Ez. It's Ez. It's Ez to win.
So here we're actually going to value the health on the 5-4 over the health on the 2-3. Just wanting to keep that one out of range as much as possible. Go ahead and let that 2-3 fall down to a 2-1. So, you know, it does open itself up to Static Shock, but that doesn't mean much. The thing about the Twisted Fate Ezreal deck is that its removal package is pretty light. It's really Riptide Rex is sort of the main removal form. You're really pushing damage onto units with a lot of your own units. And maybe that's one of the reasons we see the Fiora Shen come out. A barrier-focused Demacia deck should have a much better time against a deck like this that's very light on removal. We even saw yesterday in the PCS, one of the players throw down a Karma on 6, understanding that these Ezreal decks not really doing great in terms of removal right now. They are very vulnerable in that regard, and as long as you stop playing scared and stop respecting outs that don't exist, you can have a lot of space to play against decks like this a little more aggressively.
Yeah, and already on the side of BlazinAzn, I mean, damn, already such a wide, huge board here. Gonna have the single combat on the Ezreal as well, which is just, damn. All right, we're gonna have the deny come out. So pretty, actually, really good for Vygg to get this Mystic Shot and have the mana for it already. We'll actually be able to remove something. Or no, actually, all right, valuing the Swiftwing Lancer instead of just getting rid of the Laurent Protege. Do you like that here?
He's got to be setting up for something, right?
I mean, I guess you could argue that the Laurent will probably just have a Static Shock eventually on it. I don't know. I'm just not crazy about it. I just think that you always want to prioritize removing units against a Demacia deck because the wider they go, the worse that things like Bannerman and Genevieve are going to feel.
That's true, but I think you're setting yourself up for maybe like a Static Shock into a Mystic Shot, understanding that Shen is going to put a barrier onto one of these. Now things looking a little juicy for Vygg. If he does have that exact play, he's probably going to fire off the Mystic Shot here before anything can actually get challenged. But that would not work out for him, as the Stand United could come out of BlazinAzn, and even if you can use the Static Shock to pop the barrier at that point, your Mystic Shot is still on the wrong target.
Yeah, very curious to see how this combat plays out here. And I mean, Vygg Very much on the back foot, too. I mean, with 7 mana, I'm trying to think of what possible responses Vygg could have. All right, we're actually going to see the red card from Twisted Fate. So this tells me that maybe... Oh, no, he's only on 3 mana. I was going to say a Static Shock after this would feel really good. But actually, critically enough, he's actually only playing 1 copy of Static Shock in this deck, too.
What?
Yeah, there's only 1 copy. Yeah, I know, right? And
that's kind of like the only response I could possibly have to that. I mean, I know that players really lean on the Riptide Rex to not only level their Ezreal, but take care of the board, but...
It's weird.
Rex is good, but you gotta find him.
I feel like we've seen a lot of decks with, like, kind of random one-of decisions. So he's got a 1 of Hired Gun, 1 of Pilfered Goods, and 1 of Static Shock. It's kind of weird.
I mean, you look at any Demacia deck right now, and the spell lineup looks like a hodgepodge. Like, they just kind of closed their eyes and started clicking through Demacia. It's a lot of 1 and 2-ofs.
I mean, they're all combat tricks. They all have a purpose and a use, right? So it's like, no matter what you pick, it's decent.
Although I do want to say this it just kind of clicked for me that this is Shen Garen, not Shen Fiora, even though Garen's been on the field for a bit, and I'm pretty sure BlazinAzn actually came into chat earlier to tell us that he was running Shen Garen.
Yep. Yeah,
which I do like a bit. As you had said, there aren't really any aggro decks in the format, so getting that Fiora win condition can be difficult. And that makes sense why there's no Relentless Pursuit in this deck. That is sort of the one card that we've seen in pretty much every Demacia deck as a 3-0 for a couple of patches now. Not going to have any copies in BlazinAzn's deck, instead going for the Garen Rally. Meanwhile, on the actual Shen Fiora that Vygg has brought, he does have the full 3 copies of Relentless Pursuit.
Vygg has the 3 copies of Relentless Pursuit. Okay.
Yeah. And you had mentioned earlier about, wanting to soften up the units a little bit earlier, playing around things like Bannerman and Genevieve, but neither of these players actually brought Bannerman. So it really is just the Genevieve that you have to consider when softening up your opponent's board for things like that.
Yeah, didn't realize that. I'm looking at the deck list now. There's even... Okay, wait. Hold on. Vygg is actually playing 2 Laurent Chevaliers in his deck as well. And a Judgment.
Yeah, Judgment.
Yeah, we're finally seeing some Judgment action, baby. Coming in hot. So this should be an interesting version of Fiora Shen, to say the least. So definitely... I'm definitely happy that we're seeing some different iterations of Banner... Well, I guess not Bannerman. I guess everybody just calls Demacia decks Bannerman, but... different iterations of Demacia decks that aren't Bannerman. It makes me feel good in my soul a little bit to see that.
If you play Fleet Feather Tracker, you're a Bannerman deck.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so I like how if you play 1 card, you're another card deck.
I was gonna say War Chef, but BlazinAzn's not actually playing War Chef, so I can't call that one. I think Fleet Feather Tracker and Brightsteel Protector are the only cards that have lived through like every single iteration of Bannerman.
Yeah, we do see Riptide, the card that honestly I feel like we have not seen a lot of today. You know, a deck that we haven't seen a lot of as well is Sejuani. Like,
you mean Nab?
Yeah, like Nab in general. Like, I feel like Sejuani with Riptide or Misfortune or something like that. I just feel like or even Gangplank. We haven't seen a lot of that deck today.
I feel like a big part of that is just that, we talked about this a little bit earlier on the cast, where Freljord is just kind of divided between Frostbite midrange and Endure Spiders right now. So being able to commit that to a Nab deck is not something that a lot of players are willing to do. We did see Chad a little bit earlier bring out Shadow Isle instead of Freljord, and I know we've seen a couple of P and Z Nab decks as well. That's basically what the Ezreal deck is, and I think that's just kind of the new direction that it's taken. There are so many decks right now that can flex into so many different regions between Nab, Ezreal, and Bannerman. Like, they can pretty much pair with any other region they want to and still function pretty close to full power.
And wow, I mean, it definitely helps on the side of Vygg to get rid of the Shen, so there's no barrier. But we do see another Shen in hand from Blazin, so that will come down eventually. And now having this Genevieve on this attack turn can be pretty big for him, depending on what we see Vygg ends up having in his hand. There could be... Static Shock doesn't really do much. Mystic Shot, we've already seen 2 of those, I think. Or have we seen all 3 Mystic Shots at this point?
I want to say we've only seen 2. It wasn't one created by... No, Ezreal was single combated out of the sky. He couldn't get through there. I want to say 2. Look, man, I've been keeping track of Ezreal. Not how many Mystic Shots.
He's like, when those questions come up, ask me those.
Pick a notepad and do some work with this shit. Damn it.
Wow, so actually deciding to use a concerted strike to get rid of the Genevieve, and I actually do like that a little bit. That does get rid of a lot of the aggression on this turn in particular. The thing that Vygg's going to have to worry about, though, is if this Garen does get off another strike, and it looks like he will here in just a second, which
Yeah, I don't know
honestly.
that Genevieve was scarier than Garen.
Yeah, I gotta agree there. I feel like having the rally on the next turn is a lot worse for Vig than having to deal with 2 Genevieve attacks right here.
Genevieve would have cleared the board for sure, but you at least have a turn to set up and then a turn to try and survive the open attack. Whereas here, Garen is going to level. I don't think there's anything you can do about that for 4 mana, and that does mean you should just die on the following turn. Even this block doesn't really matter because Garen's going to level up into a 7/7.
Wow. Yeah, and I don't think there's really a way that Vig gets back in this now with this Garen being able to rally next turn. 4 mana. Yeah, it's not going to do much. You even have, when you're going up against a okay, well, that's a thing.
Well, okay, we're gambling it on this. See, and I feel like that would have been so much better to kill the Garen then. Genevieve does clear, like, your board is still clear. I don't think you lost this turn if you killed the Garen instead of the Genevieve. I think you might have taken a little bit of damage, but if your plan was to pick a card into a reset up turn, it'd be a lot better to do that when your opponent doesn't have an attack token.
Well, yeah, you literally, like, the board state would be the exact same. The only difference is there's a Genevieve instead of the Garen, and there's no rally token. And I feel like a 5/5 instead of a 6/6 with Scout, and then regeneration on Garen's side, plus no rally, yeah. That might come back to bite Vig here in the butt, but we also see a Cythria now. We're going to probably see a Cythria and a Shen, and I think that's just game.
It depends on what else Vig has. The Petty Officer was pretty critical here in giving him enough blockers to survive for the moment. Even though this is a 1/1 Cutthroat, it will be able to block the Cythria herself still. But I don't see Vig winning this one. I can see him surviving the turn, but I don't think I can see him winning. And that's going to hit the Cythria, so now the Cutthroat actually is a better blocker. Vig getting pretty lucky. I want to iterate that everything Vig has played has been top-decked this turn because he pick-a-carded.
Yep, yeah.
This wasn't like I set up for this, I planned for the Petty Officer and the Twisted Fate stun, I have 1,000 IQ. It's I rolled the dice, and things worked out a little bit, I guess, but he hasn't played anything else out of his hand yet. Twisted Fate gonna die here, Garen's still gonna get pushed through, River Shaper gonna draw a spell. Vig's gonna have to block with everything. Well, he only has to block with one thing, and then he can just die to an open attack, but,
Yeah, and honestly, the River Shaper getting value on top of the spell here, like actually trading with this Petty Officer, feels super good on the side of Blazin. So I think Blazin's just still going to go ahead and run away with this, even with that great top deck of pick a card into some other great top decks. I don't think it's going to be enough here for Blazin. Or, sorry, for Vig.
All right, what could have gotten stolen off of this Black Market Merchant? Because he doesn't run... BlazinAzn very smartly not running the Judgment, so it cannot be stolen and used against him.
Yeah, Vig is the one running Judgment. He is running Concerted Strike, or maybe Brightsteel is a thing.
He's not dead to the open attack. Well, he is to the riposte.
Yeah, no, it's
as well as a couple of... Okay, yeah. I was like sitting here, I'm like, if he has Spirit's Refuge, he doesn't die to the Garen attack, but he doesn't find it. He does fall in game number 1. BlazinAzn, go ahead and put that Shen Fiora away. It's done its job. We're moving on to our own Twisted Fate Ezreal and our Frostbite midrange.
BlazinAzn taking it away here for game 1. And now we're going to see if Vig can scramble his way back here and come back from this first loss. Again, this is best of 5 in the top 16, so we're going to see all 3 decks played here from each opponent. No bans.
Do you have a preferred format for Legends of Runeterra?
Oh, I think did we talk about this in one of the other tournaments?
I don't remember.
Preferred format, I would say. Well, I like the the card instead of a region. Just can't use the same card twice. I do like that format personally a little bit better than the region bans. So that's just me. I do also like best of 3 with 1 ban probably better than best of 5 with no bans. Or if we could do best of 5 with like 4 decks and 1 ban or something like that, but we don't have enough regions for that yet.
Yeah.
So I think once we have another region, I think that might be the route to go. But again, if you're doing best of 5s, I think that would only be good for Top Cut, just because it's a pretty lengthy tournament at that point.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see at like 2 years from now when we have like 5 more regions. I think at the end of like 2022. When we have like 12 regions in the game, I'm curious to see what our tournament format is actually going to look like.
It's going to be best of 9.
Look, I'm a big fan of Last Hero Standing or Conquer so this is Conquest, right?
Yeah.
I really like Conqueror, which is you play with a deck until you lose with it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, actually, I do. That's a pretty fun format as well. I think isn't that pretty popular in Hearthstone?
Yeah, I mean, Hearthstone has tried every format at least once.
Oh, well, that's good. I mean, it's been around long enough.
Yeah. But we're going to see a mirror match that is actually playing out exactly like a mirror match. Just, nobody has played any cards up until the Yordle Critters came out for both players, both of which stole a card even.
And now the Petty Officer coming down on the side of Vygg. We'll see how BlazinAzn responds here. Lots of options. Definitely not a lack of options on the side of BlazinAzn. Looks like the Dreadway Deckhand is going to be the route that he takes here. A lot of different lines of play, though. We could go, let's see. There's Warning Shot available to go into one of the, no, there's only one black market merchant. There's also...
I'm actually really surprised that we're firing off this Warning Shot. I figured with double Rex we would want to save that, but instead we're going to go for the Butcher. Do you still have Merchant Pilfered Goods mana available? There's a good chance that we either steal a Warning Shot or another Warning Shot generator out of Vygg, right?
Yeah, and what I was just going to say, though, is BlazinAzn... So BlazinAzn actually, he's playing 2 Pool Shark and 2 Zonite Urchin, so this is very much like a speedier type of Ezreal TF deck with a little bit more draw-centric build. Two Pilfered Goods. So very curious to see if the Zonite here that he has in hand is actually able to get him to a victory a little bit faster, as well as the Pool Shark. We actually see 2 Zonite and a Pool Shark already in his hand, so we'll see if he's able to utilize these in a good way here.
You know what we don't see, though?
Uh-oh.
Any Static Shock.
Ooh.
BlazinAzn bringing 0 Static Shock in this Ezreal deck.
And there's 1, 2, 3... Alright, so there's 3 Make It Rain, 3 Thermo Beams, 3 Mystic is basically all the... and Riptide, so... Yeah. I guess when you're playing Riptide, you don't really need any targets.
Yeah, I mean, like, 9 times out of 10, it feels like you're trying to use Riptide to level your Ezreal.
Yeah.
One of the problems you can run into is that your opponent doesn't actually put down enough units for your Riptide to get value, and normally that'd be like, okay, fine, you know, Riptide's pushing 7 damage at face, and then I get to attack with it, but at only 4 HP, Riptide's actually not getting through an attack that often. I don't think I've ever actually seen a Riptide Rex hit someone's face.
Yeah, and we do see... Wait, a Riptide Rex in this matchup going all face? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, like, I've never seen someone attack with a Riptide Rex and have it connect with a player's face.
Oh, whoa. That's a thing that happens? I didn't even know that could happen.
I don't think it gets blocked or it dies. It's just the 7-4 is not good enough.
Yeah, and actually, another Sumo in chat, too, is another good point. We haven't seen a lot of salvage, I think, in a lot of these TF decks. Is Vygg playing it?
Neither one of these players have brought any copies of salvage here.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're going to go draw, I feel like salvage is a better option than maybe Zonite, especially just for leveling the TF. But, again, I mean, we'll see. Maybe this TF will get a quick level because of the Pool Sharks and the Zonites in BlazinAzn's hand right now.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily convinced that you need the cheap draw. It does play out a little bit... Zonite plays out a little bit better in sort of the board-centric matchups, getting this 2-attack unit down. It does challenge critically things like Brightsteel Protector, a couple of other 2-drops in the format. Astute Academic if you're playing Casino, if you run into Nola Gold specifically.
Yeah. People only they're only teching against Nola's weird concoctions and BBG.
Apparently, I mean, people. We have gotten to a point where I feel like there are, like Glop had said, you know, he's only afraid of BBG, and we've seen. I love it when that actually happens in card games, where it's like, okay, there's one person in the room that I'm afraid of, and I will tech for that guy, and I can just hard body everybody else. And I always love to see that actually work for them.
And we do see. All right, the Mystic Shot's going to take care of the hired gun. We're going to get some trading action with this for this black market merchant, I should say, and finally. Gonna see some of these cheaper draw units come down. Crucially, too, I mean, it's going into BlazinAzn's attack turn. Okay, I was just gonna say, he has a decent attack here, but we do see the Yordle Grifter come down as a prospective blocker here on the side of Vygg.
Alright, so I've actually done a good job of keeping track of both players' Ezreals up until this point. So BlazinAzn is currently sitting at Riptide Rex out of 8, and Vygg is also at Riptide Rex out of 8.
Riptide Rex out of 8. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
That bitch ain't leveling.
I was like, wait a second. I'm trying to do the math on that. How does that work? Do we add the R and the I?
I was writing down their names on my sticky note to be able to differentiate. Some targets went off that I missed, and I was like, okay, you know what? They're just going to play Riptide or they're not going to level Ezreal. Those are as the caster of this game, I have decided that unless you play Riptide, you are not allowed to level Ezreal.
I think that's probably safe to say, to be honest with you, because I just don't think... even if they were to make a bunch of other targets with like Make It Rain and stuff, I just don't think they're going to get 8. And yeah, so we actually do see a pretty decent open attack with these smaller units opting to clear that Yordle Grifter, and yep, gonna get punished right now for this Riptide, meaning that Vygg is, like you said, Riptide Rex out of 8, looking.
I mean, that's
like
actually only
Ezreal's
3
level.
targets.
Is it 1, 2? Wait, 4, right?
He actually didn't hit the Zonite Urchin.
Oh wow. Okay, that feels bad.
Simp Tide Rex missing the girls.
I mean, do you just blow another? Yeah, okay. You have 2 in hand. Yeah,
you might as well. That's a lot of damage pushed to the face. There is the potential to finish your opponent off with burn, and we don't typically see Get Excited out of this deck, which is a little bit strange to me. I feel like with the Riptides, with the aggressive unit-based strategy that you're going for, there is a lot of space for you to actually just finish off your opponent with a Mystic Shot Get Excited.
Well, and here's the scary thing on the side of Blazin, right? Like, Vygg could just have another Riptide, a return Riptide right here, into a leveled Ezreal, which would be pretty bad. I mean, Blazin does have another Riptide that he can get off, but no way to actually proc the Plunder effect right now. So I feel like it's like thou who plays the last Riptide wins. Like, it's like you always have to be the one returning the Riptide, not the one getting the Riptide returned, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that made sense to me. Right. Everyone just go with it. Shit needs the win today.
Yeah.
He's had a rough week.
I need something. It has been a rough week, all right?
Laugh at his jokes.
And right, so that's a pretty good one drop. I'm not going to lie.
And I don't think there's anything Vygg is going to be able to... actually, as he goes a little bit wider on board, I think... Oh, I was going to say, I'd actually like to see Blazin fire off this Thermo Beam so that he has a higher chance at getting through an attack next turn.
Yep.
And like actually proccing this Riptide. Because this Riptide will be lethal if any of these units connect.
Yeah, and he's saving the Thermo, which means if he... Okay, I was going to say if he sent the Thermo out... Okay. Now do you still play it? All right, it looks like he is going to opt to play the Thermo.
I actually think I would have liked Black Market into Thermo, but I guess with the barrel coming out from Vygg, you do have to play respectfully of the Make It Rain.
Yeah, wait, did he have a Plunder? Was he going to be able to proc the Black Market Merchant?
No, I just wanted the extra body on board so that you had enough attackers to guaranteed push through a Riptide attack.
Just to push game.
But 2 removal spells out of Vygg will do it, and with the barrel on board, if a Make It Rain comes down, that's pretty likely to clear out 3 units.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way he actually gets through an attack this turn. So he kind of, at this point, just needs to hope that he draws and, like, top decks. Is he actually playing? He's playing a Warning Shot, right? Yeah, he's playing 2 copies of Warning Shot. I mean, topping a Warning Shot basically wins him the game, I think.
Unless Vygg goes Warning Shot Riptide as well.
Oh!
Make It Rain.
Make It Rain will do it. Make It Rain will do it. Could also proc the Riptide if it doesn't hit all the... Like, it either hits face or hits... Okay.
That was the worst... Well, that wasn't the worst possible.
No, because now he still procs the Riptide, right? Now
yeah.
you can go ahead and play Riptide. So I think that's probably the best he's going to get. Ooh, not anymore. And this is what I was worried about. The return Riptide Rex coming down. Now the return Riptide Rex.
Okay, but what if Blazin just plays the Ezreal?
And just attacks
and makes a Mystic Shot and throws it at Vygg's face and puts him at 1.
And actually, is that the play to take instead?
If that's a leveled Ezreal, that's the play. That's just lethal out of Vygg. And it looks like that is. He's going to steal something first, but with 2 mana, there shouldn't be anything Vygg has available to him to actually deal with this Ezreal.
No, Mystic Shot doesn't do it. Make It Rain does it. Thermo Beam doesn't. Yeah. Yep. Although I would like to see the return Rex just for shits and giggles, but,
I'd like to see a win on the game. Oh, even steals a Riptide Rex.
So that's
there's Vygg's 3rd Riptide, but yeah, with this Ezreal being leveled, this should just be lethal now for BlazinAzn.
Unless, is there some way that there's another Navori Blade Scout in Vygg's hand?
How the hell would he
have
gotten
know. I don't know. I'm supposed to do this stuff. I'm supposed to think of weird plays.
Yeah, you're supposed to think of plausible ones.
So BlazinAzn taking it home 2-0 now. Gonna go ahead and give him the victory fanfare again. And yeah, wow. We'll see if he can actually go ahead and 3-0 Vygg here.
I thought you said 2 mil, and I'm like, damn, you won 2 million games? I haven't even played 2 million games.
Sometimes my words just merge together, It happens.
All right, the Frostbite mid-range. Does Vygg want to take the mirror? It's probably. I would assume he's going to run back the Twisted Fate Ezreal deck. Is going to be the case.
Oh, man, still can't wear the hat, huh?
No, I still can't read my poetry.
It's one day. When Kuma just comes into the stream and just sees me with a weird hat on and you reading poetry, and that's the stream.
He decides that he's gonna take a couple more weekends off.
Oh man. All right, so now we have good old mid-range Frostbite, who, luckily enough, we haven't really actually seen too much of today for once. That's a new a new accomplishment for us casters here. Probably, I mean, I welcome it. I do want to wear the hat at least at some point today, so we'll see how that goes. But
I'm sure you will get a chance.
So we do see the Avarosian Trapper start here, which always feels really good going on turn 3 with 3 spell mana banked as well. But Vygg able to start off going pretty wide here with a damn good 1-drop, which is why BlazinAzn's like, what the hell? Why me? Why now? Oh, yeah.
And the Yeti does just delay the pickup of a Reckoning. So something that I want to talk about for BlazinAzn, and just these Frostbite mid-range decks in general, we've seen a pretty hard fall off of the Kato Reckless Trifarian version. A lot of people have returned to that version where the only Noxus cards you run are the Glory Seeker, the Assessor, the Culling Strike, and the Reckoning. Battling Bjerg and Hearthguard are back in pretty much every deck, although the one thing that has been left behind is a lot of people are still running one of Captain Farron.
Yeah, so even though it's weird, right, because there's no Katos anymore,
yeah.
Generally speaking, I think people have strayed away from Kato. I still like that version personally, but Captain Farron still basically is doing what Kato was trying to do, except it just does it like one time all at once at the end of the game. So, which honestly, I guess when it comes down to it, that's all you really need, right? Like, you just need that extra 12 damage, because usually your board state will be good enough to not die immediately to your opponent, and you can just play those decimates over a couple turns.
And I like the adaptation out of players to try out a new build, have it work for a little while, and then realize that as people kind of catch on to it, it's not working as well. We have seen a lot of players die with multiple Reckless Trifarian on board.
Yeah, and it feels really bad.
Yeah. I don't think I ever saw Kato get that much value off of his ability. It was really just another 5-attack unit to get Assessor draws off.
Yeah, Kato was really just, okay, it guarantees you, like, especially on ladder anyways, like, it just guarantees you winning the game by, like, turn 7 or 8. And that way you're not worried about the late game as much. But especially when you're going into a tournament, I can see the value in wanting to play Hearthguard instead. It gives you a little bit more longevity in the overall game. A lot of your units will be bigger later on in the game, and you can actually make it to that point where you get Captain Farron. With Kato, sometimes you didn't even make it to the Captain Farron because you didn't need it at that point.
Yeah, and BlazinAzn does pick up a buffed up Assessor, so should be able to get a draw 2 off of this Yeti and the Assessor, and then set up for another Assessor on the following turn. So going to get 2 draw 2s. Oh, but finds another Yeti, gets to set that up into the Assessor, and even picks up the Reckoning. Vygg is going to have a hard time maintaining the board. Could be taking a lot of damage pretty soon. Ooh, wants to get as much removal as possible, shuffling away the pick a card and throwing out an Ezreal.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and this, I mean, so turn 8 will be an attack turn for Vygg as well. So pretty positive we're going to see a Riptide come down. If he did draw a Riptide with the pick a card, it's going to feel a little bit bad. We obviously can't see that right now, but hopefully that's not the case and he doesn't end up having to toss it to the side. Having to block with the Ezreal right now, wow.
I think that's why he played the Ezreal, is he just needed the blocker. This was a lot of damage coming out of BlazinAzn.
Yeah, and we'll see if he can kind of reestablish the board here. It looks like it's going to start with a Twisted Fate. Kind of wish that was on the board when pick a card hit, but, you know, we'll take it where we can get it.
It was probably picked up by the pick a card, but now we're going to see a 3-draw Assessor. The Calling Strike, a big pickup, as well as these other 2 units. BlazinAzn can actually just run out all 3 cards that he drew if he really wants to.
Even play the Reckoning.
Not gonna. Yeah, it looks like he is actually just hanging on to the Reckoning, not running out any of his own smaller units. Just wants to get full value out of that from Vygg, who is pressured to continue to be proactive this turn, as he's got a couple of fleeting cards left over from that pick a card.
Yeah, I mean, he could have thrown out the Omen Hawk. I do kind of like this, especially with Vygg. Vygg was the one that was playing. Was he the one? No, it was BlazinAzn that was playing the 1-drops. Oh no. Yeah, Vygg's playing 3 Zonite as well. So yeah, I'm actually surprised we didn't see a 1-drop there, and he could have been blown out, to be honest with you, by a Reckoning if that was the case.
I mean, if you're gonna discard it anyway, you might as well play the 1-drop. But
Yeah.
this is a little bit scary for BlazinAzn.
Yeah.
The Mystic Shot does mean that a Riptide Rex will be coming down.
So yeah, I think you do. He's probably thinking, okay, what else can I throw down to the field to take up a Riptide hit? Looks like it's gonna go ahead and be the Omen Hawk. Ooh.
I like Sentry, but I definitely understand getting the buff onto your top card before you play the Sentry.
Let's see what it hits. All right, 2 on the Omen Hawk, which isn't terrible, but that is gonna put Blazin down to 4, which is that's a little risky.
That's a scary life total.
Yeah, that's. You know, we did see one Ezreal kind of toss to the wind there, but it's very, you know, with how much Vygg is already drawn and how much more draws in his deck with the Zonites, you know, it's very possible he draws into another Ezreal here. And I do believe, do we got some sticky note power over here? Do we know if this Ezreal's leveled?
No. I put it to the side during the other matchup, and I just wrote Riptide out of 8, and that pretty much took up my whole sticky note. Why am I using my good sticky notes, man?
Next time, that's just gonna be the new thing now. Ezreal count is always Riptide out of 8 at least until the new set comes. Oh man! And
actually, I'll have to show you my sticky notes when we go back to our faces because these are my good sticky notes.
Oh man! So he actually uses the Elixir of Iron to seemingly save a little bit of his life, which I do think makes sense. Puts him a little bit out of range of certain things like a Mystic Shot, or now you need 3 Ezreal hits. All right, doesn't look like the Ezreal is leveled yet. We'll see. Nope,
it's just a little bit shy.
Nope, no level. And yeah, with this Harsh Winds, does the Ashe level?
We've seen an Ice Veil Archer, but with the double Harsh Winds, we definitely see the Ashe level, right? I mean, double Harsh Winds Ashe attack is just 5 on its own.
So do we? Huh. Oh, that's a thing. So, do you just not go for the Harsh Winds now, and then you go ahead and play the Farron?
You don't have Decimate this turn, so I don't mind not playing the Farron.
So this, I think the attack level's the Ashe. Boom.
Yeah, and then as long as you can float 3 mana into the next turn, you can go Farron Decimate.
Yep. Yeah, so this makes it so Vygg has to do something about this attack. If he does, you do have the Decimate to fall back on, and you just kind of hope that he's not going to get a leveled Ezreal down. Yeah, that's just going to be game. Blazin throwing the hands up there. Going to give him the victory fanfare again. And hell yeah, 3-0. Very glad we're watching BlazinAzn for one of the first times in one of these casts. And he's wrecking it so far, doing great.
Yeah, I said that this was going to be a 3-lineup mirror match, but it was actually just BlazinAzn 3-0ing a Twisted Fate Ezreal deck. So while I'm here, these are my sticky notes.
What is that?
That's the dude from Demon Slayer.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's
my friend got these for me in Japan. There's not actually a lot of like white space to write on, so I've had to like kind of overlap him, but you know.
It's like, is it really a sticky note at that point? Like, it's the whole purpose of the note is to write on it. There's no space to
I'm
write.
just ending up writing on this guy's abs.
All right, congrats to BlazinAzn making it to the top 8. Again, a pretty consistent performer as it pertains to being in Duels of Runeterra and some other tournaments that we have casted in the past. So good to see BlazinAzn still doing well in the competitive Runeterra scene. As always, everybody, until we got the top 8 video coming up in a little bit, which if you turn on the bell, you'll know when that comes out. Stay healthy, stay positive. I hope this works for you, and peace out.